President Trump's pardons, and you're making note of something that is in Politico's playbook
out this morning, noting an interview that Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, who of course just received a pardon from President Trump, gave to Alex Jones Infowars yesterday. Just hours after his release, he spoke to Alex Jones Infowars, and he said this: "We went through hell, and I'm going to tell you it was worth it because we stood for what we've been fighting for. We saw yesterday on the inauguration stage. We need people like Pam Bondi, the Attorney General nominee, and FBI Director Kash Patel and the rest of Trump's cabinet to right all these wrongs. The people who did this, they need to feel the heat. They need to be put behind bars." So, Willie, here we are seeing the leader of this hate group, the leader of the Proud Boys, come out not only thanking President Trump for freeing him, but suggesting that Trump's cabinet does need to carry out this agenda of retribution for those who were part of the January 6th riots, with investigations and prosecutions, setting an ominous tone here as this new administration comes back to power.
And as he talks about the quote, the people who did this, presumably talking about prosecutors, judges, and a jury that listened to evidence and convicted all of these people. Meanwhile, Axios is reporting an advisor who was familiar with the discussions in the room about these January 6 pardons, quoting Donald Trump. This is a White House advisor quoting Donald Trump, the final decision saying, quote, "F it, release them all," citing Donald Trump directly in saying that. Open the jails, let everybody out. Retired D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone, who you'll remember was brutally attacked at the Capitol on January 6th, now has had to file protective orders against the people who assaulted him. This comes after President Trump pardoned his attackers. It also comes after Fanone was told by DOJ officials there would be no protection for him or his family. They've been targets since he testified before the January 6th committee. And Officer Fanone joins us now. We should note former President Biden provided Fanone and the other officers who testified a preemptive pardon in anticipation of retaliation from the Trump administration. Fanone is the author of the recent book on the insurrection titled Hold the Line. Officer Fanone, it's great to have you back on the show. Just your first reaction to these blanket pardons of many of the people who attacked you that day.
I mean, it's outrageous, but, like Mika said earlier in the program, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Donald Trump has been promising these pardons ever since he announced his candidacy from Waco, Texas. For those of you who don't know or remember, that was the scene of a violent confrontation between members of American extremist groups and law enforcement, in which law enforcement officers were killed. And Donald Trump saw that as a fitting place to announce his candidacy. So I fully expected this to happen, and the American people voted for it.
So you got these protective orders yesterday, I understand. Why did you feel compelled to do that? Can you talk about some of the threats you felt for you and your family?
Well, first, I haven't obtained them yet. I'm going through the process. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be as easy as I'd initially anticipated. That being said, listen, once these guys were pardoned, and let's talk about the individuals that were pardoned. Daniel Rodriguez, sentenced to more than 12 years in prison after he pled guilty and admitted to using a taser device, applying it to the base of my skull numerous times while I was being restrained in a crowd and assaulted. Albuquerque Cosper Head from Tennessee placed me in a headlock, pled guilty. This is the rioter that, if you watch my body-worn camera footage, yelled out, "I've got one," as he dragged me out into the crowd. Thomas Sibick, who, while I was restrained and being assaulted, ripped my badge and my radio from my police vest. Kyle Young, who, again, while I was being restrained and assaulted, tried to remove my firearm from its holster as he violently assaulted me. These individuals pled guilty. They admitted that they assaulted a uniformed law enforcement officer who was simply doing his job. And Donald Trump chose to pardon these violent criminals. They are all out on the street today. Because of Donald Trump's actions, my family is less safe. We have suffered threats and acts of violence almost immediately after my congressional testimony in the Select Committee hearing. In fact, I didn't even make it through my testimony before I received the first threatening phone call. My mother has been the victim of swatting incidents. She has had bricks thrown at her home in the middle of the night. And recently, while she was raking the leaves in her front yard, she had an individual pull up in a truck and throw a bag of shit on her. This is the type of conduct and behavior that we've experienced for 4 years. And quite frankly, law enforcement has been feckless in its attempts to protect us and prevent these types of crimes from occurring.
All of what you just laid out is disgusting. And of course, the crime for which you're receiving all of this is for defending the United States Capitol during an assault, during a riot, for doing your job as a police officer. Many of these people who love to talk about and have bumper stickers on their cars about backing the blue attacked you. And I don't want to walk you through the worst day of your life. I assume it was. But you went into cardiac arrest. You've talked openly about thinking about your kids, assuming that it was over, that this was the end. How close did you think that day you were to dying, Michael?
I certainly thought that was the inevitable outcome. But I'll be honest with you, January 6, 2021 was not the worst day of my life. Maybe on January 6, 2021, I thought it was, but these past 4 years, the threshold for the worst day of my life has changed dramatically. Having your mother call you and tell you that someone pulled up in a pickup truck and threw shit on her, and knowing that it was because of the things that I've said and my conduct on January 6th and simply doing my job was probably one of the most painful calls that I've ever received in my life. Again, because of these pardons, my family is threatened and my family is less safe.
So going forward now, as you said, the people who attacked you that day are out. They're free. Many of them, everybody's out at this point. What do you anticipate the next days, weeks, months to look like for you and your family?
Well, I fully expect to experience violence at the hands of some of these individuals, whether it's the ones that directly assaulted me or others who see me as a spokesperson for accountability for January 6th. I certainly feel as though I have a target on my back, and I have a target. There's a target on the back of my family members, and not just from these violent criminals, but from the government itself, from Donald Trump's government.
Well, in this perverse logic that we're seeing now, you've been made a villain by this group of people. And we just want to say publicly what we've said all along, that you and the other officers who defended the Capitol that day, perhaps saved the country. You are the heroes, and we're so grateful for your service. We hope to talk to you again often. Retired D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone, keep us posted on everything. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you.
So, Mika, these pardons that Donald Trump, according to Axios, said, F it, release them all, not happening in the abstract. These are things that are very real to people like Officer Michael Fanone, to Harry Dunn, to Aquilino Ganell, all these officers that we've come to know and bravely defended the Capitol that day. They're going to have to relive it now. Again, these people who attack them and beat them to within inches of their lives are out and free.
And it's true, we shouldn't be shocked. Trump said that he would do this. He said it repeatedly. It was a key part of his campaign. At the same time, it is very hard not to be incredibly sad right now about this and what it means.